Cardiac arrest. Well, please refrain from that. Otherwise this Marvel anti-hero Elias Wortham aka Cardiac will avenge you. And we have MCM Comic October 2025 to talk about. So sit back, grab yourself some snacks, and let's talk Marvel Legends, and Mark's Plastic Crack, G.I. Joe Classified, and maybe even some Black Series. So here we go on TAKTAK Toys. So let's kick things off with G.I. Joe Classified, and here's what we have currently available to purchase, and in stock at the moment. Version 4 Snake Eyes and SCI Fi hanging picked together here, and Mark was able to pick up a SCI Fi from Kapow. Shout out to Matt and the team for that one at the MCM Kapow booth, and next to them is Monkey Wrench, and Mark picked him up from Comics and Cocktails, Armored Cobra Commander and the Grim Viper. And then the Major Blood release, which is a nice update on the Cobra Island release, Wetsuit and Mainframe. And then the Articus tank, which I'm calling it now, I think will cost around £179 to £189, as it doesn't have all the electronics and bells and whistles, which I think will bring the price down, which I think would be a good thing. Are you tempted to get a made-to-order Articus tank? Have you got the room for it? Let us know in the comments below. And here's the 2-pack of G.I. Joe and Cobra Divers, and I think these look absolutely great. Adam and Chris from Moxtra Games and Collectibles were chatting with Mark about having these in a diorama fish tank versus just having them on the shelf. I like the silly idea of just having them on the shelf, but I can see the appeal of having them in a great fish tank diorama in all their gear. And there's the Mass Device Breaker, and Slice and Dice, and then the Desert Ready SGT Slaughter, and Mercer riding on the Ore Striker. And MMS, which can be towed by the AWE Striker, and we get Marvel Comics Hawk with the MMS. The version of Hawk that came from the G.I. Joe Marvel Comics. He was the original field commander of G.I. Joe, and then Duke came along later. And then we have the Ghost Viper one that Mikey Moon Boots likes, and Crystal Ball next to him, the Police Officer, and the back of Budo, and Snake Eyes and Polar Bear, and then back to the Articus tank. 30-day window for the order. I really do want a pair of these depending on price. And then we have a look at the most recent pre-orders coming in early 2026, or next week, with the way pre-orders are dropping. And here is Lifeline, Hit and Run, that's one I'm very excited for this one, and Big Lob. I think the updates to Big Lob are excellent. I personally think the 80s design for Big Lob is a bit goofy. I much prefer this classified look, the Night Viper and the Mole Rat version 2 with more affected dark Enegan looks. And if you're enjoying this MCM content, let us know in the comments below. I'm Libby alongside Mark. Which G.I. Joe classified figures are your recent favorites? Are you up to date with everything that's out so far? Let us know in the comments below. And here we have Cold Slither. Mark is planning to pick these up at the end of the year. Do you like the Wacky Joes? Are you happy with the Dreadnoks in their original looks? And we have had a digital render at MCM, which is Ninja Force related as well as Dreadnok related as well. So do you want the Dreadnoks in even more different looks? Lenny has talked about doing a modern Cold Slither band possibly as well. Let me know what you think. And I'd personally really be interested to see what a modern Cold Slither band is like. Or an original interpretation of the average Joes, which in the cartoon is just Duke, rock and roll and other Joes with musical instruments. But I'd like to see them in alternative looks and costumes as band members. And you might have also noticed Pythona taking on a few green shirts there. And I'd personally really be interested to see what a modern Cold Slither band is like. Or an original interpretation of the average Joes, which in the cartoon is just Duke, rock and roll and other Joes with musical instruments. But I'd like to see them in alternative looks and costumes as band members. And you might have also noticed Pythona taking on a few green shirts there. And then we got a look at the G.I. Joe Legacy Collection Legacy Police Officer, which is like finding gold at the end of a rainbow. In Demand Toys had one at their booth at MCM on Friday, and man did it go fast. And then from G.I. Joe Classified, let's go to Marvel Legends. The Police Officer probably is a nice segue for that, as is a G.I. Joe Classified figure you can fit in a Marvel Legends collection. I hadn't even planned that. And speaking of Marvel Legends, here we go with the Executioner BAF wave. Starting with Phantom Rider, which hopefully we will get some kind of horse with. Maybe a Mythic Legions one would be a good stand-in, and Second World War Logan, which ideally should have bone claws, a lot of fans are saying. Speaking of a fan favorite, here's Warbow. The Executioner BAF and Enchantress. 6-armed Spider-Man. Some kind of Iron Man and comic werewolf by night. And seeing a comic werewolf by night makes me think of an MCU werewolf by night, and with that let's talk MCU. So that's sad John Bethnal Punisher and Daredevil, and then over to Maximum Hulk, Maximum Deadpool, and Maximum Spider-Man. Mark has Maximum Spider-Man, because I know he wanted to see what the Maximum series was like when it was first released, and then the Comic Con exclusive Super Skrull. And from the Super Skrull we go to Star Fox, and the champion of the universe. And then Iceman on the Secret Wars card and Strong Guy randomly, and now one of Mark's favorites the Gladiator, and Deathbird 2-pack. And Mark has wanted a new Gladiator for ages, and it's really good to see Gladiator on the Hercules buck. The Hyperion buck one from before with the Apocalypse baff head didn't pose very well. So it's great to see a new one with better posing and a few different head options and a nice Deathbird too. And another 2-pack Mark is massively interested in is the Gameverse Punisher, and Nick Fury 2-pack, and here it is. I love those 90s Capcom games and more of them in Legends form please. And next to them is Triton from the Inhumans. So let's talk those Inhuman 2-packs. And blink and you missed them, we saw the Inhumans there, and I do think they look pretty good. And then the star of the show for me and Mark for Marvel Legends is TAKTAK. And they really did a good job on him. TAKTAK looks like a dark blue under these lights, and I think the details are really great on this figure. New boots and knee pads maybe. Shout out to your boys got toys on that one. Mark has wanted a TAKTAK for ages, and you can probably tell by how he is lingering on the figure as the cameraman. And then Spider-Man, 2099 Sports, Direct Daredevil Rachel Summers, an astonishing X-Men Beast. And then Black Widow Silver Surfer and Feral. And if you're enjoying the content and coverage from MCM October 2025, let me know in the comments below. And TAKTAK would have been great in the Spider-Man animated series. And speaking of animated series, let's take a look at Marvel Legends X-Men 97 stuff. And let's see the X-Men 97 figures in action against the made-to-order Apocalypse. And I have to say the made-to-order Apocalypse does look really good. I won't be in for this as I'm getting the Arcticus tank from G.I. Joe Classified. But it's a really cool made-to-order Marvel Legends Apocalypse that comes stacked with accessories and has totally obliterated the X-Men here. But let me know how you feel about made-to-order X-Men 97 Marvel Legends Apocalypse. I think it's a good price for what's on offer, and the diorama really helps bring it to life even more. And then from there we go to the X-Men 97 2-packs. Cyclops and Jean, Storm and Wolverine and Gambit and Rogue playing basketball. Maybe Big Lob from G.I. Joe Classified could get involved in that game. And also here you can see all the accessories that Apocalypse comes with. So yeah, speaking of Big Lob, here's one I have on pre-order, and then a look at the diorama again, with Apocalypse triumphant over the X-Men, or perhaps they tripped up on the sand and Apocalypse just capitalized on that. And speaking of X-Men 97 and Marvel Legends, let's go to some shoutouts. So for all the latest Marvel Legends news and reviews including MCM coverage and the reveal of Emma Frost in her diamond form, check out Dan Who Reviews, check out Miguel, and the Wolfpack Toy Review and Jay's Toy Collection UK. And feel free to check out Joe's and Juice and Turtles and Tea, and here are the reveals from MCM Comic Con for G.I. Joe Classified, and you'll see these in mere moments. And of course Kapow, In Demand and Comics and Cocktails were all at MCM October 2025, and feel free to check them out. I'll leave links to everything I can in the comments below. Props and replicas, star action figures and YouTubers, hero of collectors, and Brian's action figure reviews, Trevor the 1/6 shooter, the whole shebang and more. And then we have a look at Star Wars The Black Series, Kyle Katarn, Quinlan Vos, Seventh Sister, and Jedi Master Dooku. Jedi Master Dooku is a nice touch, and Quinlan Vos I remember from the Clone Wars or Star Wars Rebels cartoons, I can't remember exactly which one. An unbearded Dooku likes Jedi sex, it's nice. Yes, that's right, Sasha Baron Dooku perhaps. And check out Justin Collects, Emporium of Cool, Chris Moxtra Games and Collectibles, who joined us at MCM for some hijinks and fun, as did Mikey Moon Boots, John Complusive Collector, and here in the Tron 6-inch figures which Dwight said that apparently he worked on, designed them. Mark has a members only video where he and myself give our thoughts on these. They actually look quite appealing in person, if you like Black Series and want to add them into a collection like that. And that segues beautifully into Black Series, so let's have a look at those and chat about them. And here we have a pair of Sand Troopers, and in the back there you can see Princess Leia Organa, and Luke Skywalker, and Chewie, and Han Solo, and Boba Fett from the Book of Boba Fett. And then various Jedi, and Temple Guards and Clone Troopers. And then Mace Windu battling Palpatine, and Luke and Darth Vader battling each other. And the Christmas-themed figures. As well as some expanded universe stuff. So if you're enjoying this content on MCM, let me know in the comments below. Smash the like button and comment and subscribe, and feel free to become a channel member if you want to. Anything helps support the channel. Do you collect Black Series, and will you be picking any of these up? And are you more original trilogy, or prequels, or even sequels? I'm a big fan of Rogue One that never gets enough love, and Clone Wars and Rebels, but let me know your Black Series figures of choice. So of course these are all things you've seen before, but soon enough in the video we are going to get into the new reveals. And here's the Christmas-themed Black Series figures. We are also rumored to be getting a Christmas Spider-Man in Marvel Legends, which is fun. Action figures don't always have to be so serious. I actually wouldn't mind some holiday-themed Joes. And speaking of Joes, here's Lenny from the Classif team, putting out the retro card female Crimson Guard, Crazy Legs and Zap. So yes, that's Lenny's hands doing the work, and I think the female Crimson Guard looks cool. I know Mark will be getting a few of those to complete his Crimson Guard shelf. And Crazy Legs is in his regular costume. The Pervious one we got was from Night Force, and came with the Dragonfly. And Zap looked very matte rather than glossy in person. Tom Arca Mini Plastic Multiverse mentioned that when Mark was chatting with him. So are you picking all of these up, or cherry picking them? Let me know. And here is Lenny putting the retro cards in the case alongside the loose figures, which I'm guessing are final production samples. And whilst I'd probably prefer the female Crimson Guard in regular classified packaging rather than retro cards, but I'll take it. And whatever you feel about RE artwork, it is really nice to see Zap and Crazy Legs on retro cards, and Lenny was really friendly and chatty, and of course being a Joe fan and collector, I would have loved a few more MCM reveals as would Mark, but there were also some cool digital renders. And seeing Crazy Legs makes me want a Tigerfly, as Night Force Crazy Legs came with the Dragonfly. I'd really love a Tigerfly after seeing the made to order his tank. And with Zap coming along, of course, we are getting closer to finishing the original 13 Joes. And then from the Joes we are going to turn our attention to the newly revealed Marvel Legends. So again, if you're enjoying this content and either were at MCM, or were enjoying or from afar, let me know in the comments below. And what will you be pre-ordering? Are you going to wait for stuff to come into stock? Let me know. And here's the newest Marvel Legends. So first we have Nightcrawler as Spider-Man, or the Uncanny Spider-Man, bridging the worlds of X-Men and Spider-Man. And next up we have the Owl, never done in Legends form before, I believe same as Uncanny Spider-Man, and I've always felt like Owl looked like Victorian Team Wolverine in the comics. But here I feel like Dwight and the Legends team have made Owl look like his own character. And then from Victorian-looking crime bosses, we have 70s cool Marvel Legends, namely the Hypno Hustler 1 Jive Talking Cat. And yes, wacky stuff like this isn't for everyone, but it's just a fun Marvel Legend to not take too seriously. We then see Spider-Man 2099 again, and Cardiac, and next to Cardiac we have Spider-Venom. Let me out with this one in the comments. Those chains are giving me Spawn vibes, but it's a cool looking action figure regardless of if you know nothing about it like me. But what do you think of this wave? It's likely to be the first wave of 2026, or maybe even end of 2025 the way things are going. And then we got a look at Diamond Emma Frost, aka Power Activated Emma Frost, and this is a cool figure one that no doubt Rich M will be adding to his collection. She might possibly have limited articulation due to the cloak, but it looks great here in the display cases. And so that's it. That's the Marvel Legends and G.I. Joe classified reveals from MCM London. What did you think? There were also digital tenders from both lines, and Black Series, which I know Mark intended to add to this video in the display cases, but didn't get round to. So let me know any favorites you might have had, and keep collecting. Keep enjoying the plastic crack responsibly, and until next time, enjoy those flicks and figs.